Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Well Redbeard, and it is a damn fine day to talk about a book. And today we're here for a book review, and we're going to talk about A Feast for Crows by George R. Martin. And look, it's just an absolute utter disappointment to me. And I'll get into why that is. If you know much about this series, you probably know already why this is. I am I'm a fan of the show. I do not read a lot of fantasy books, so there's not a lot of books that cross my path, minus an occasional Stephen King one that approaches the 1,000-page mark. This is a 1,000-page book. Like I said, it is book 4, and I just anyway. So how did I get here? I bought this set, this nice little leather bound or whatever set, and because I don't put anything on these, because there's 3 more shelves, you've seen them, but on these shelves, unless I have read it, if I'm buying a set of books, I want to read them. So I knew it was unfinished. I don't think I knew at the time of starting it that we're saying it's probably never going to be finished. Um, so I don't know. I kind of regret it, to be honest with you. I kind of regret starting this series again. I just want to be able to say that yeah, I read the books and watched the show, I mean, I really enjoy the show. I really enjoyed the mythology of it, the folklore of it, the story, the back, I mean the characters. I really do. But of course, like anybody else, I've got my favorites, right? And maybe everyone's favorites are the same. Like, for example, I just don't care much for Bran's story. As far as like the really important ones, right? Like, I'm Jon Snow, Arya, Daenerys. I mean, even Daenerys. Like, until she comes to Westeros, I just don't. It's not that I don't care. It's just I don't know. Everyone's got their favorite storylines, and this particular book touched none of them. And that's my problem with the book, and I would like to say that's probably everybody's problem with the book. Let's look at what this book touches on. First of all, it's the first one, I think, to really start naming, because the chapters are named after characters, but this is the first one to like really start naming chapters after people you don't know. For example, the Prophet, the Captain of the Guards, the Kraken's Daughter, the Soiled Knight, the Reaver, the Queen Maker, the Drowned Man, the Iron Captain, Cat of the Canals. I mean, I know who Cat of the Canals is. If you don't know, it's Ari. But this book does not touch on Jon Snow. There's a brief point where I think we see him loosely because it's from Samwell's eyes as Samwell is leaving the wall to go to Bravos and on to the Citadel. We don't get anything on Daenerys. We don't get anything on Bran, I don't think. We don't get anything about Theon Greyjoy and what's going on with him and what's his name? Not Roose Bolton, but the bastard Bolton. We don't get anything about the Boltons. We don't get anything about, like I said, Theon Greyjoy and what's going on there. Let me see if there's anything else that we just do not get. We don't get anything about Davos and Stannis Baratheon or any of that party. Oh shit, we don't get anything about Tyrion. Nothing about Tyrion. We don't we don't have a clue what's going on with any of these people, and those are my favorites. Tyrion, I forgot to mention him earlier, and so like I just cannot imagine what it was like to have finished book 3 and to have waited for this book to come out. And this book to come out, and you get a quarter of the way through, and you're like, where the fuck's Tyrion? Where's Jon Snow? And you get halfway through, and you're like, well, we're going to really got to get with Tyrion and Jon Snow probably in the second half of the book, and so on and so forth. And I just can't imagine. I mean, I wasn't a part of that crowd. I didn't read any reviews of this from back in the day. I don't know what people thought, but I just cannot imagine there had to be this massive level of what the fuck, George? And so you would have gotten this book, you would have read this book, and then you had to wait for. I remember that you had to wait forever for book 5, which is A Dance with Dragons. And yeah, that's just wild to me. So, what does this book actually talk about? It talks a lot about, Cersei and Jaime post. Because, see, that's the thing. All the cool shit happened in book 3. The Red Wedding, the death of Joffrey, the death of Oberyn Martell, the death of Tywin Lannister. What else? There's some. Peter Baelish throwing Lysa Arryn out the moon door. I mean, all that cool shit, all the cool death scenes, for lack of a better way of putting it, happen in book 3. And this book is really just mostly coming to terms with that, I guess. I mean, we spend a lot of time with Cersei. Actually, we spend the most time with Cersei. And towards the end of this book is where she does start, like, she's kind of after Marjorie the whole book. She's plotting against Marjorie Tyrell, Tommen's wife or whatever. Tommen's too young to really have a wife, but she's kind of plotting against that, I guess, kind of regretting making the agreement to turn her into the queen. But at the end of it is when she kind of starts to get in trouble, like, the shame, the famous scene where she walks down the street in nothing but her birthday suit, in the show. Now that doesn't happen here, but we feel that she's kind of been taken, so to speak, spend a night in a cell or whatever. But spend a ton of time with Cersei, spend a ton of time with Jaime and what's going on there. We spend a ton of time with Brienne of Tarth, and to be honest with you, like, I mean, I don't really. It's not that I don't care about her storyline, but the stuff that's going on there. I think that's part of the problem too. Is I'm reading this from a perspective of having seen the show twice, and I know that books 1 through 3 were pretty dead on the show. This one seems to start breaking away, mostly about one particular plot point, and it may break away in a lot of places, but just places that I didn't really seem to care about or notice. But so we spent a lot of time with Brienne of Tarth. We spent a lot of time with the Martells. Post again the death of Oberyn, Oberyn, there's Ariane Martell, who may be a character in the show, but if she is, it's not a lot. And there's this whole plot to crown Marcella, the middle child of Jaime and Cersei Lannister, because Joffrey dies, Marcella would be next in line. But they crown Tommen instead, the younger boy, which kind of I guess has more precedent or whatever after having watched the House of the Dragon or whatever show where was it Rhaenyra, was going to be queen, and blah blah blah, the struggle of women trying to get the crown and whatnot. So I mean, I guess I saw some level of maybe slight coolness to that, but it's very very short lived. The rebellion, the plot to crown her or whatever, at least from my point of view, it is. It may continue into the next book, is why I say that, but I kind of doubt it. So we spent a ton of time with the Martells, and we spent a ton of time with the Greyjoys and Euron and Aeron and Asha, who is Yara in the show. I think Asha equals Yara. And I just don't really care about the Greyjoys. I mean, I know that at least show wise, is it Euron that kind of has like a big role in the build up to the end and whatnot, but it just all these storylines that you don't really care about, and then it just made it super sloggy. And for me, like I was like, okay, Arya is in Bravos. Arya is with the Faceless Men. That is an area of this story that I'm highly interested in getting more information about. I mean, Jakar, is that his name? The first Faceless Man she met, what is it, Valor Morghulis or Valor, anyway, yeah, I got it loose in here. But um really was interested in learning more about them and who they are, and how, because Arya, in the show, she goes there. We see snippets of her life there, and fast forward, she's this, ultimate, killing machine badass, right? And I really thought I'd get more of that storyline, and you really don't. And I'm not going to say that it's dead on the show, but it feels that way. Like, it feels like we get a snippet, we go off into other parts of the Seven Kingdoms, and we come back, and we've skipped all the extra shit that I thought I might get, and we were just, to a higher, I guess, a higher level faceless Arya, a higher level nobody, when we meet Cat of the Canals finally. So yeah, I mean, really, just kind of a disappointment, kind of a letdown, kind of made me question why anybody would want to read these now. I mean, if they watched the show, which really sucks for a book guy to say. So I mean, I have the fifth book up there. I have these style of books, all five of them. I'm going to do the fifth one next month, and put them to bed. But yeah, just real disappointing for me. Tell me what you thought. I mean, is that like the common perception of this? Is that the common opinion that everyone was really, really let down by A Feast for Crows? Let me know what you think. Again, this is a situation where, I mean, there are a lot of great, great fantasy series out there, and I don't really read that stuff. So I'm reading this because of the show, really, and because of my love of the storyline and the characters and all that stuff. But this one was just, yeah, a huge letdown. So I mean, I'm not going to one star it. I mean, it's hard to one star a 900 or 1,000 page book that you got through, but I am at 2 stars. It is definitely my least favorite so far, and um, I just assume that has to be common opinion. But anyway, this has been Well Read Beard. This has been A Feast for Crows. George R. Martin, 2 stars for me. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.